Welcome to another edition of the Willie Bragg Show. I am your host, Willie Bragg. I hope you're having a great day. This is my first broadcast since the election day. No, I take that back. I had one other video when I did a recap with a friend of mine the other day. I'm sorry. Good Lord, how in the hell did I forget that? So, this is my second broadcast after the election day. So I did it with a good friend of mine from years ago. So I just wanted to share one of my friend's takes on the election. Slightly different from mine. We're headed on the same path, but different tactics and all of that. All good and everything. But I'm going to go and give you my take on this election. So I'll start with what happened. So, as I said, you've heard me say this before, and I'll say it again. What was supposed to be a red tsunami that everybody talked about for about a month, so people thought it was going to be a huge red tsunami. It was going to be a Republican bloodbath in the U.S. House, and probably up to 53, 54, maybe 55 senators of Republicans in the Senate. And God knows what was going to happen to the governor's seats in this country. Well, what turned out to be a fearful Republican tsunami ended up turning into a red splash, possibly in the U.S. House. It's not even a done deal yet. At last count at the election results, I'm looking at the U.S. House of Representatives. I'm looking at 211 for the Republicans and 199 for the Democrats. Is almost a foregone conclusion that the Republicans will get the House, but it's not going to be by a whole lot. In the U.S. Senate, it is still kind of up for grabs. Right now, it looks like there's 48 Republicans, 1 Democrat. 47 Democrats. 48 Republicans, 47 Democrats. For governor, 25 Republicans and 23 Democrats. So we're going to see what happens. I guess it was going to be a few more days, and they're still counting, and we'll see what happens as the election results take place. Now, why did the Republicans ended up doing so badly when they had the momentum? And I think there's a couple of factors involved. One, when the Roe versus Wade was overturned, what was a euphoria from many of the pro-life activists. I think that a lot of the leadership and a lot of Republicans were not happy with the Supreme Court decision, because at least they weren't happy in the timing of it, because it couldn't have happened in a worse time for them, because when it happened in June. And they figure that the right-wing base are going to be happy, and they call it a victory, that the progressives, the liberals, those who are pro-choice for reproductive rights, were going to be angry as hell. And that was to be expected. And those passions were still there. Everybody had those positions. But I think that the people who were pro-life kind of got over it. And the people who were pro-choice, angry initially, also were kind of getting over it. And everybody adjusted to the new normal. And probably not as many Republicans went out to vote at the end of the day as anticipated, because that was their pet issue for some of them. I think that's partly what happened with the Republicans. I think that the Democrats were motivated to vote because of the extreme crazies in the Republican Party. The bad thing about Roe versus Wade is that Democrats don't feel like they have to talk about Medicare for all or a public option, or lowering prescription drug prices, or labor law reform, or a jobs program, or anything of that tangible nature, for the workers in this country. And it would just, they could just concentrate on the wedge issue of abortion and being at the end all. And not that it's not an important issue, but that's what they focus on, is always the identity politics supersedes the economic issues. And then they wonder why blue collar workers jettison out into the Republican Party. Now, I think that the jettisoning out to the Republican Party is a mistake. Not necessarily jettisoning out of the Democratic Party, but jettisoning out into the Republican Party is a mistake. I just think that maybe people ought to be just an independent voter, or curtail themselves into a third party. A working class third party would be the way to go about things. That would be my preference for that. So I think that basically the social issues of the right-wing Republicans, they were so deranged, and they were calling for authoritarianism. Republicans were calling for authoritarianism. I mean, and they were calling for a Christian theocracy. They were basically, they used to pretend that they were for a moderate libertarianism for a few years. They did that little song and dance I was never convinced of, but they pulled the mask out and they're saying, no, we want full-blown authoritarianism. We want statism. We want the government to micromanage people's lives. We want to go and curtail free speech, as they claim that they're for free speech, but then they go curtail free speech. And that's how they operate. I always saw right through them, but I was always assured by some. They were like, "Oh, no, you got them wrong. They're a new generation of Republicans, whatever." Maybe some of the younger Republicans may be more libertarian leaning, but you got a lot of boomers, and you got a lot of Generation X people who are pretty right wing still, and especially the Generation X people and the younger boomers are going to be around for quite a while. So they're not going anywhere, folks. And I just hope that those Generation Xers and boomers who are right wing can see the errors of their ways in that regard. But that's what did it for them. What did it for them was the culture war shit. And people finally realized this is extreme. Now the Democrats this is an election where the Democrats felt like they didn't do well, but the Democrats are like cheerleading, and the Republicans kind of still won, but they kind of also, felt like they lost. And the Republicans lost more than the Democrats won in this election, but the Democrats are just grateful that their ass kicking wasn't as brutal as they thought it would be. Now, the Democrats would have actually blown the Republicans away had they done this, had they governed more like Franklin Roosevelt and governed significantly less like Bill Clinton, significantly less like Barack Obama, and that Joe Biden would look to Democrats in the past and where they were more labor-oriented, more worker-friendly, and do something for workers. That's what it would have taken for the Democrats to have done better. Passing Build Back Better in its original form, which didn't even go far enough, by the way. That's the dirty little secret. A lot of people say, well, the one that Bernie Sanders helped craft it up, that was just way too much. Not really. It was pretty much standard Democratic Party proposals and reforms from decades ago that would be considered perhaps big government in its day, but it still didn't go far enough. But it was probably better than what was offered in many years. But even that was watered down by a bunch of right-wing Democrats. And so when the Democrats basically offer American people locking them up in their homes during COVID, and not that I'm pro-business or because I'm anti-capitalist, but I will say, telling people to shut your businesses down, close your shops, close your small businesses and things of that nature. Your livelihood is being fucked. It just, and there's no way that you can really get around to make ends meet regardless. I mean, it gives them the option to go Republican. You don't want to do that. So that's not the way to go. So the Democrats could have done a hell of a lot better had they stopped listening to the Joe Manchins and the Kirsten Cinemas in the party, stopped listening to the Abigail Spanbergers of the party, people like that, and go ahead and go back to your working class roots. So that's where I stand on that. I'm sure that Republicans are going to cry, fraud in the election and all of that shit. I'm not going to say too much because I don't want the algorithms to be triggered and they're claiming, oh, there we go, talking about election fraud, and then shut down my channel, So that's all I'm going to say about that. So I got to be careful with my words when it comes to what they're just looking for any words to say, well, there you go again, spreading misinformation. So I don't want to be spreading misinformation, and I don't spread misinformation. But anyway, so there is that. But on the Republican side, now the Trump brand is dead, and that's the thing about it. I mean, Donald Trump's brand of republicanism, his Republican brand, that's MAGA, I think it's no more. And that is some people say for better or worse. Donald Trump's time has passed, and it's now, Ron DeSantis. And the thing about it is, the right wing is going to be split. And this could be a beautiful thing because, if when the right wing are sniping at each other, it makes for great entertainment. It's kind of nice to see the right wing instead of the left wing people sniping at each other. So what's happened is that the Donald Trump backed candidates failed in this election. They pretty much fell in the election results. Very, very few of them. I mean, like J.D. Vance in Ohio barely won in Ohio, but a lot of the crazies, a lot of the crazy candidates, right wing candidates did badly. And even even Mehmet Oz, who might have been probably one of the more moderate of Trump's picks, did badly because he was so fucking out of touch and all of that. So and he's a carpetbagger, an out of touch carpetbagger from the next state, New Jersey. People saw right through that. So I'm going to say that John Fetterman's. I'm not really a Democrat or a Republican, but I'm going to say I'm going to cautiously say that John Fetterman's victory is a preferable outcome, and be done with that. And the moment he becomes AOC or the squad and lets me down, or become Elizabeth Warren, or become or sell out, or drop the knee the way Bernie Sanders likes to do occasionally, then I'll be like, okay, I'll wash my hands of that. But for the time being, I'm going to take a little bit of relief, saying, well, okay, John Fetterman says some good things in his campaign, and I'm happy for him. So there is that. So with regard to Donald Trump and Ron DeSantis, you got people like Matt Walsh and Ben Shapiro. Ben Shapiro representing a more normie style Republican, too right wing for me, but a normie Republican versus a nutcase like Matt Walsh, who's an absolute horrible bigot, and people of that nature, they're flocking to Ron DeSantis. People like the Glenn Beck types, the Ted Cruz faction of the Trump base from 2016, the one that became MAGA. A lot of them are becoming falling in love with Ron DeSantis now, and that's dangerous because Ron DeSantis is more dangerous than Donald Trump. Donald Trump is an incompetent buffoon. He's a clown show. He's a clown. I mean, and Ron DeSantis is a serious politician, and he's smart. And I think that Donald Trump's Achilles heel is Ron DeSantis. And so I think that we're going to see the end of Donald Trump with this election cycle. I think that he may very well declare his candidacy next week, but there are some possible indictments, and he might not actually be running for president. He may be dropping out by the end. I despise Governor Greg Abbott down in Texas like there's no tomorrow, for the obvious reasons. But if there is a bright side, to get one bright side to Greg Abbott winning, and that is maybe Beto O'Rourke can finally go away. I'm so sick and tired of seeing Beto O'Rourke. He lost to fucking Ted Cruz. Then he skirted his way into running for president and didn't do well. And then he jogged his way into running for governor, telling people, I'm going to take away your AR-15s in fucking Texas. I mean, talk about not having any common sense. Beto O'Rourke is a shit-lived, silly clown himself, and I don't take him seriously. Listen, Canada already has Justin Trudeau. We don't need another Justin Trudeau in America. They already have one in Canada. One is enough. So anyway, that's pretty much my take on this election right now. We'll see what happened as time goes on, and I just wanted to talk about that and to basically give you my take from myself, as opposed to having a guest from a few days ago. So I guess that's pretty much it for the time being. Monday, I will at 11 a.m. be interviewing Lucianne Canet, who's the host of Blue Moon Red Wine, who was the write-in candidate, who was supposed to be a left-wing alternative to Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez in the 14th Congressional District. We'll be interviewing her, and so we'll be doing that and talking about some of her other political activities, such as heckling Joe Biden at a rally, I believe last week. So that ought to be interesting. So we here on the chat line have Warren. Hey, how are you doing, my friend? I'm doing good. I was going to watch the secret show last night, but I was like, oh, it looks like it's not going to be on this evening. I was at work, so I was like, but I said I can watch it while I'm still at work. So anyway, looking forward to watching it tonight. Let's see here. We have Hot Retarded Chicks, comments disappearing, laughing out loud. The comment section is really weird on YouTube. Believe me, sometimes they don't show up for whatever reason, and that's just how it is. So Jimmy, how are you? I saw a little bit of the show yesterday, but I was like asleep and then awake, asleep, as I normally am during the day, working graveyard shift. So when I am awake, I know your show's on, so I always try to watch. So there's that. And so I'm looking forward to seeing you and Warren tonight on the Secret Show. So, yes, we'll be back on tonight, and I'm looking forward to that. So, anyway, everybody, if you like what you heard, please press like and comment. Comment anyway if you disagree with what I have to say, and we'll have a conversation anyway. Feel free to share the content on this channel. As a First Amendment absolutist, it's my duty to inform you to create your own platform and utilize it, because we are, in fact, the muckrakers of our time. Let's see what I was going to say. Sorry about that. Yeah. And also be sure to subscribe. Follow me on YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, Facebook, and you'll see my information down on Rumble. If you're on Rumble, go ahead, subscribe to my channel so I can actually multi-stream from on Rumble too down the road. And I'm going to probably get a Rockfin account and check some of the other video streams to expand down the road. So all work in progress. And so until next time, always reject corporate media because they have absolutely nothing to offer us. And I will conclude by saying to you all, music. Music.